Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. Good morning and a great Sabbath to you. Today it's been a wonderful week, a busy week, and here we are. Today I want to read to you something from the Pasha in the Torah, book of Bereshit, book of beginnings, Genesis, and we're going to read chapters 28, verse 10. And it goes up to 32:3, but I only want to read just the end of the chapter 28. So we'll look into that. We'll focus in that, and I'll take that as my explanatory note on what this is and how we can look into it today. It starts with verse 10. Now Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. Beersheba, by the way, we'll look at that in a second, where Beersheba is and where Haran is. But retrospect, Beersheba in Israel is in the south, and Haran is in the north, out of Israel. So every time somebody goes away from Israel, theoretically, mystically, you're going out of the land into another land, or you're coming down to the land from another country or another land. So usually it is seen as a good sign when you come back into the land, and usually is seen as a negative going out of the land, because you can encounter trouble, problems, things like that. So we can see that behind this story, when Jacob went out from Beersheba towards Haran, he did encounter a lot of problems. We do know that from the references given in the book of Genesis. So let's go on to verse 11. So he came to a certain place. Hamakom in the Hebrew language, a certain place. Really, it means he came to a place, we can say God. He came to God. So how did he come to God? Now we'll kind of look into that and we'll come back. And he stayed there all night, because the sun had set, and he took one of the stones and of that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. So what did Jacob do over there? He came to Hamakom, he came to God. He came to himself. Imaginative act, okay? He came to himself to do an imaginative act. He went into sleep mode. What is an imaginative act? You do sats, state akin to sleep. That is, if it's not nighttime. If it's nighttime, of course, you sleep, and then you imagine. What do you imagine? You imagine whatever you want in your life. So in this particular scenario, Jacob was doing an act of imagination. He did it at night, and this place that is referred to as Hamakom, the rabbis call Hamakom another name of God. But I understand that Hamakom as God within you. You, the person. You have God within you. You have now come to God. You are now referencing God in your imagination. Imagination is God. Therefore imagination is God, theoretically or poetically or mystically. Whichever way you want to look at it, it is God. Now you have come to God with what? With something that you have decided. Now there is a number of things that you can do. Number of things. In the law of attraction, as you may have heard, and you probably some of you know, in the law of attraction, you have to pretend to be. You have to pretend to be something, and that's basically the law of attraction runs around that assume as it is. That's what they tell you. Assume as it is something. So if you're a millionaire, you want to assume you're a millionaire. If you own a car, you want to assume you have a car, although it may not be there, but they say assume. Now, the law of assumption, law of manifestation, which we are taking from the Torah, from the Bible as a whole, the law of assumption or manifestation law, it doesn't say assume as if. There's no assume as if in there. It's basically you are what you claim to be. So it's totally different from assume as if. And you do not ask. You see, in the law of attraction, listen to this very carefully. This will help you. In the law of attraction, you ask the universe. Okay? They always tell you, ask the universe. Well, here is a problem with the law of attraction. When you ask, what does that mean? It means that you have a lack. And when you have a lack, you're never going to get. This is why the law of attraction is a failure for many, many people today who delve into it, who try to use it, and they do not receive what they desire. Why? Because you are asking. When you're asking, you're basically saying, I don't have it. When you're saying, I don't have it, what does that mean? It means you lack. You do not have abundance, you lack it. And when you lack, it doesn't come to you, it gets more worse. Okay? That's your law of attraction summed up in one paragraph, a short paragraph. Now, what is a law of manifestation? The law of manifestation, the law of assumption, you do not ask. Again, I repeat, you do not ask the universe. Okay? When they say universe, some people don't like to call God, God, because they don't believe in a creator. Okay? So they say universe. They pretend that they're asking the universe. The universe technically to them is, to other people is God. So I don't, I'm not gonna say fake it that there is no God. Of course there is God. Of course there is a creator. And of course there is a creator because that's who you came from. You came from that creator and that creator is within you. So there is no denying that creator, and there's no point calling him universe. Why just call him God what he is, just call him the creator, call him Almighty, call him El Shaddai, call him many different titles and names that we can use for him. Hashem, Shem, many titles, Adonai, all these titles for God, Yudhevah, Yahweh, and many other titles, many other names and titles. So, different nations have different names. Allah, Muslims use Allah, which is fine. Christians use God, which is fine. They use Jehovah, which is okay. They also use the Creator, and they also use other titles. So again, this is not about titles. What I'm saying is the biggest failure for the law of attraction people is to ask. That is the biggest failure. You do not ask. So what do? Exactly what Jacob did over here. What did he do? He came to a certain place. He came to God. Okay? That is a certain place. It says he came to God. Let's look at proper way. So it says in the Hebrew, Vayaseh, Yaakov mib be'er sava vayalek harna ve yipga ba makom. So he came to a certain place. He obviously left Beersheba. He came to a certain place. Mib Beersheba or Mib Beersheba. Vayalek, he left Beersheba, and he went towards Haran, and he came to a certain place. Now we know this, and he stayed there all night. Of course, what do you do when you stay all night? You sleep. Okay, you would sleep. So this is actually describing to you. This is describing to you literally a scene in which Jacob went to bed with an imaginative act, with a desire. Okay, so the biggest secret, the Torah is giving you the biggest secret over here, and is hiding it a little bit, is hiding it behind technical language, and it's what is telling you basically is Jacob came to God, and he did an imaginative act, and then other things happen, and we'll look at those things as well. So what do? You do not ask. Remember, I just spoke to you about asking. Do not ask no universe. Don't ask a universe for something, because you'll be asking forever and you'll never get it. So what do? How do you do it? How do you acquire your desire? Whatever you need, a spouse, a car, a property, an apartment, some place to live, some car to drive, money in the bank, whatever is your desire. A child maybe, maybe you desire a son or a daughter. So whatever you desire, you do not ask. That is the biggest failure of institutionalized religion today, and including law of attraction baloney. Institutionalized religion today has led so many people astray because they make you believe that you have to ask for something. No, you do not have to ask for anything. You have to decide. Let me repeat that again. You have to decide what you want. When you made a decision of what you want, what's the first thing you'll do? Because, things can change. You may forget. You may decide to change something midway, potentially. So what you do, the best thing to do is you write. You write your desire. That's your intention. That's your decision. You come to a decision. You come to a desire. When you come to a desire, like Jacob over here came to a desire and he sat down and he started to do an imaginative act. So he's already made a decision. And you make a decision. You make a decision. You say, well, I want to have a house, or I want to have a car, particular model, maybe even a particular color. But color is not so much important, because when you have the car, you get the color as well. Because if God gives you the money for the car, then choosing a color is no big deal. You just choose a color. So you don't have to be so particular about colors, but more particular about car and what type. So you asking for a car, or you asking for an apartment, or you asking for certain $1 million in the bank. And so you came to a decision. See, here the difference. Here is the difference. Institutionalized religion teaches you, go to a temple, go to some place and ask. Law of attraction teaches you, ask. Well, what am I teaching you? Decide. Decide what you want God to give you. God is here to give you what you decide. So you make a decision. You say, I want to have $5 million in my bank, or I want to have $1 million in my bank, or I want to have $50 million in my bank, or maybe I want to have a nice apartment to live in, or I want to have a nice car to drive. Maybe somebody might say, I want to have a $100,000 salary, or it could be a number of things. So this is what exactly happened with Jacob. Jacob came to a point, he came to God, Hamakom, he came to God and he asked God, and it was already sunset. That's the time to imagine. Naturally, it's the time to imagine. Now, if you take an afternoon nap, you can do the state akin to sleep, like you want to imagine, deliberately, not necessarily at night. But if you go to sleep at night, that's natural. You go to bed, you made a decision that night, and you decide, and you want something, and you go ahead and you start to dream about it. You start to lay all the foundation. You start to, if it's a car, what car is it? What color is it? What's the seating like? How does the steering look? What does the car smell like? What kind of tires does it have? All those things, you kind of look into the scene. You make a scene in your imagination when you're sleeping, and you see yourself driving a car. You're holding the steering of the car. Is it an automatic or is it a manual? You decide that, and then you decide, is it going to have leather seats or cotton seats, polyester seats? What kind of seats does it have? And then other bits and pieces. Does it have alloys? Does it have steel rims? What is it? So, you look at all those details. So what you do in your imaginative act, you add all the necessary elements in your imaginative act. The car has maybe a sports steering, it's automatic. I'm just saying, maybe it's a champagne color, maybe a silver color car. It has alloy rims. It's color black, for argument's sake, or color white. So you decided your color, it's a black color or a white color, and all those things, and you're sitting in the car and you're driving it. This is your imaginative act. You're driving this car and you're dreaming about it. You're dreaming. This is basically climbing the ladder, because this story is about Jacob climbing the ladder. You in this story are Jacob. Don't think to yourself male or female. That's not relevant. What's relevant is you are Jacob. Whether you're a male or a female, you're Jacob. You're climbing this ladder. What is this ladder? This ladder is your desire. You're climbing it. As it says in verse 12, then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached to the Shemaim, the heavens, and there the angels, Malachim of Elohim, the angels of God, were ascending and descending on it. So what do? You're deciding, you already, because Where is heaven? Heaven is within you. So where are you deciding? You're deciding internally. And where are you imagining? You're imagining on your bed. So this is basically the scene. The scene is so clear. You're deciding on your bed and you're deciding what you want. Some of you may want money. Some of you may want a car. Some of you may want a job. Some of you want a wife or a husband. And numerous a number of things. It doesn't matter what it is. The same principle applies. You go to bed, you decide your scene, you start to give your scene imaginary touch. You start to color it. Just like you have for instance, a painting, you have a piece of paper, there's nothing on that piece of paper, you start to draw. You start to draw something on the painting canvas. You now start to color it. You now start to give it imagery, reality. Same way, in this particular scene, you start to give your desire a reality, color, depth. What is it? You start to picture everything. You start to picture everything in your dream. You're not fully asleep yet. Maybe you're half asleep. Maybe you're 30% asleep. But you start to dream that you have this, this color car, and it's got nice steering, it's got alloy rims, and it's got leather seats, etc., etc. Or if it's a money, if it's a business, you see yourself with the business clients, and they're giving you business, and you're thanking them, and you go through this process every day, every night. When you go to bed, you run this process. This is basically climbing the ladder. You're climbing the ladder. What are you climbing the ladder for? To attain your desire. And then it says, and behold, Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh stood above it and said, I am Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, Elohim of Abraham, your father, and the Elohim of Yitzhak, the land on which you lie, I will give to you and to your descendants. Okay? So theoretically, poetically, and mystically, you are communing with God. When you're communing with God, God will give you whatever you desire. This land here is just a hyperbole. It simply means that, in this particular scenario, Israel was given a piece of land that they're going to acquire in the future. In today's scenario, in 2021, November 27, you are hitting a desire. You decided on something. You want that something, and God's going to give it to you. And let's call it a piece of land. Piece of land could be anything. It could be real estate. It could be a car. It could be a wife or a husband. It could be money in the bank. Any number of things. So just the real estate here, the piece of land is just a placeholder. Nothing else. It's only a placeholder. That placeholder translates to any number of things you desire. A business, money in the bank, a lottery jackpot win, and there's numerous other things that you can additionally add. So I'm just saying that you want to have $1 million. Maybe you win the $1 million on a scratch off. Maybe you want to have 5 million, maybe $50 million, and you can get that from a lottery jackpot win. So whatever it is, you imagine that. You're imagining it. That's you climbing up the ladder step by step. What are the steps? Let's assume the ladder has 22 steps. Let's just assume it. It may have more or less. That's not really relevant again. Let's assume 22 steps. And what are those 22 steps? They are the 22 days you will imagine of the month. Every night you go to bed, you imagine. And then it says in verse 14, also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. And in you and in your seed, all the families, all the mishpachot of the earth shall be blessed. In other words, Israel was given, children of Israel, Abraham was given the blessing for the whole earth. All the families of the earth will be blessed through Abraham. That was then communicated to Jacob, that Jacob through you and your seed, because Jacob is not alive today. Jacob is long gone. But Jacob's seed is still here. So his seed, his offspring is still here, and through them, many people will be blessed. Now imagine that tomorrow you win a big jackpot. You suddenly acquired $100 million jackpot, and what happens? You maybe have family members, maybe you have friends, and you decide to give them a gift. You may decide to give somebody a gift as a house as a gift, or maybe pay somebody's loan off, or maybe buy somebody a car. These are the kind of things that happen. So what are you doing? So the verse 14 is describing that through you, other people are being blessed of the other families of the earth. Those families are not necessarily your relation. They don't have to be related to you to receive your gift. They could be just strangers. You decide to give strangers some money. You decide to give a stranger some food. Maybe you decide to give a stranger, pay their loan off or help them in many different ways. It could be many different ways you decide to help. Whatever that way is being described over here. That when you're blessed with abundance, you decide to also bless somebody else. This is called rotating your wealth. It is like circulating your wealth. You open your hand and you spread the wealth. You kind of like water the earth, spread the wealth. It doesn't mean you give everything away. You may give some of it away, not all of it, and you distribute it to your family or outside your family. It says here, behold, I'm with you and will guard you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. In other words, whatever you decided, you're going to get it. Whatever that is, you're going to get it. So God is here also assuring Jacob in the past that, look, I'm going to guard you wherever you go, and I'll bring you back to the land as well. So do not worry about it. Today, many groups out there, they want to make you believe that there's only safety in Israel. Well, guess what? Israel is probably the worst place to live right now, because Israel has a new variant of the coronavirus that came out of South Africa. And so now Israel is in another fear mode that, what will happen to our people? So Israel is already blocking off all the African nations from coming into the country. So Israel is not exactly the safest place to go right now. So there you have it. And then here God is telling you, I will be with you wherever you go. It doesn't say here, I will be with you in Israel only when you come to Israel. So these groups that are lying to you out there, so many groups out there that claim to be Israelites, and they wear their funny clothes, and they think that they somehow, I don't know, they believe that there's somehow only safety in Israel and not in America. I think that's pathetic. It's totally pathetic. It's just stupid. And, I wouldn't even buy into the idea, because some of these people have led people to sell their houses, sell their property, sell their land, give up their jobs, and give up their nationality, give up their passport, only to be put into ruin, because when they got to Israel, and then they couldn't come back, and then Israel didn't want them, and America didn't want them, now they're homeless, and now they're landless, penniless as well, because they lost all their money, spent it on food and other things and travel, and now they can't even come back. This is what happened to some people, really. It happened to some people in the last 20, 30 years. In fact, I would say even more than that, last 50 years. In the last 50 years, there was numerous groups that came up claiming to be, holier than thou, and claiming to be Israelites, and claiming to be Angel Gabriel came to them and somebody else, and then saying, come to the land. Baloney. What a total BS. And that was a total BS that angel came to them and said, go to the land. Well, God hasn't called them back yet, because God said, I'm with you. And God said, I will guard you wherever you go. It doesn't say Israel over here. Wherever you go means wherever you go, whichever country in the world. Whether you live in England, whether you live in France, whether you live in America, it doesn't matter which country. God says, I will be with you. So where is God? God is with you. Which country? Wherever you are. God is with you. And God says, I will bring you to the land. God didn't say, sell your house, sell your land, and buy a ticket on the plane and come back to Israel. Again, misinformed people, miseducated people are listening to idiots out there, and I can only call them idiots, who are just wasting time of other people, wasting their life and wasting their money. So be very careful not to come into contact with such group of people, such type of people that'll only ruin your life and your family life and leave you to ruin. So you don't want to be in that position. So God has given you a mighty power. God has given you the ability to bless other people. Look, it says your seed. It doesn't say to Jacob that you will, it says your seed as well. It says, I am with you. And before that it says that you will be spread north, south, east, west, all over the world. And your seed, in your children, all the earth will be blessed. All the families of the earth will be blessed. Doesn't that say clearly? It does. Now, only a fool will tell you that no, you have to be in Israel to bless, and that's about it. Well, Those that want to claim such theologies, stay away from such theologies, and just do the right thing. The right thing is wherever you are, God means you to be there. You have the ability to imagine. Imagination is God, and through imagination, God will reward you. God will give you. And then it says, and then Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, surely Yud-Heh-Vah is in this place, and I did not know it. In other words, God is with you, but you did not know it. You're walking away like you're walking like zombies all this time. God is with you, yet you did not know it. And says, and he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? Well, of course, how awesome is you? How awesome are you as a person? Because God is within you. This is none other than the Beit of Elohim. Of course, your body is the temple of Elohim, is a temple of God. And within that temple is the presence of God. So he said, this is the gate of heaven. This is the gate of Shemaim. Yeah, the gate of Shemaim is in your subconscious, by the way. It's in your head. And then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at the head, set it as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. Well, I have a student who does exactly this. She's got a stone and she pours oil on it, and I believe she does it every day and probably every week. And she did see a miracle where it started to accumulate with more oil. In other words, she hadn't put that much oil on it, and it started to accumulate with a lot more oil, and the oil was coming from heaven, and it was pure olive oil. Because she started with olive oil, she started to touch it with olive oil, but then afterwards more olive oil started appearing on this stone. And she showed me the picture, and she said, I'm getting all this olive oil that I didn't put on it. And I said, yes, this oil is the oil of anointing. It is coming from the Shemaim, from the heavens. It is basically the stone that you speak. And she was speaking her affirmations into the stone. I said, speak your affirmations into the stone, no worries. Put a little drop of oil on it. Touch it with your finger with some oil. She did. And that, the way it turned out, then she started to receive more oil, started to accumulate with oil from the heavens. And I told her to use that oil that's coming up. I said, that is pure olive oil. And she checked it. It was kind of greenish. She looked at the smell. She touched the smell. She said, yep, it definitely is pure olive oil, single press. So I said, use that olive oil and then touch your different body parts where you have, if you have pain somewhere, then rub that oil on there and it will heal you. And she started to do that. So God was multiplying the oil. And it says here, and he called the name of the place Bethel. But the name of the city that had been loose previously, but now it's Bethel. So Bethel, the house of God. Well, you have the house of God within you. It says, then Jacob made a vow saying, if Elohim be with me, if he'd be with me and guard me in this way, that I'm going and give me lachem, give me bread. But it doesn't just mean a loaf of bread. It means that he gives me wealth, he gives me money, he gives me abundance, he gives me food, clothes, other things, cars, houses. And then he says, I'll come back. And then he says, so that I come back to my father's beit, I'll come back to my father's house in peace. Then Yud-Heh-Vah is my power, shall be my power. And the stone which I have set as an altar, he said, I technically call this single stone an altar, and this will be God's house. And all that God gives me, I'll give a tenth. Basically he said, I will give tithe to God. Whatever God is giving me, whatever wealth, through houses, through cars, through money, jobs, through businesses, I will return to God 10% of it back. Okay? Jacob made a vow. And then God later down the road in the Torah said that you must give a 10% tithe, 10% tzedakah, like a charitable offering. And he said you give that to the Kohen in the gate. You give that to the Levite who's in the gate, who is your Kohen. Now, question is, how many of you are doing that? How many of you are today taking out 10% of your family, of your earnings? And I'm not talking about money that comes from the government for assistance. Like when I say assistance, we're not talking about unemployment check. I'm not talking about unemployment check, by the way. I'm talking about money that you earn, money that you acquire through business, through sale of properties that you make income investment on, or maybe stock market if you made investment on and you receive that money. That is titheable, 10% of Zadakah, 10% of tithe, total 20%. That's what goes to the Kohen in the gate. How many of you are doing that? I can assure you that many of you don't do that. Some of you are doing that, and God is rewarding you and will continue to reward you for that. Those of you that don't, well, since you don't water, you don't receive either. You'll continue to be the petty poor man in the street who didn't get anywhere because he did not heed the voice of God. The voice of God says that this is what you have to do to be in compliance. And if you don't water, well, your plant doesn't grow. So it's very simple. So God has made it very clear, and this is what Jacob knew, and Jacob understood this fact clearly, that he has to give the money, the increases that he receives from God, the blessings that he receives from God. He has to return that, part of that increase. Now, God is not saying to you, give me 100%. God is not saying to give me 50% or 70% or 80%. God is simply saying, out of that, remove the 10% and give that to me. Now, there is, of course, the 10% sadaqah. There is the 10% tithe. Now, out of that 20%, think about it this way. Don't think like, oh, this is, my right and I must have it. I go to work someplace. I work in McDonald's, or I work for Amazon, or work for some other company, and it is my right to keep 100%. No, it's not your right. It's a blessing from God. When you understand that point, that it is a blessing from God, and out of that blessing, you give what God requires you to give, then you will understand that it will multiply and the increases will come. Now, if you only give $10 or $5 and you expect to receive $2,000 back, it's not going to happen. Why? Because you have not understood the principle of tithing. The principle of tithing is not that you get $2,000 check and you give $5 from it and you think, hey, I've done a great deed. Well, it may be a great deed in your sight, but it's actually not in compliance with the Torah. In order to be compliant with the Torah, you have to give what God requires. It's as simple as that. And when you give what God requires, God will return. I'm not telling you how many folds. God returns many folds back to you. God assures you that you will have money, food to eat, you will have place to live, and you will have a place to hide your head or put your head under, and you will not go without food, or you will not lack. Now, if you do not do those things that God asks you to do, then of course you will be in lack, and that will be down to you and to your mindset, because your mind thinks, your brain thinks that, if you earn, and I'm just saying this number, it may be less, it may be more, if you earn $3,000 a month and all you're doing is giving $10, then don't expect God to reward you for that, because you will not get no rewards. In fact, that $3,000 will become 25, then from 25 it will become $2,000, and from 2,000 it become 1,000, and from 1,000 it will become $500, and you'll be like wondering, what the heck happened to me? Where did my money go? Where did it dry up? Well, it dried up because you are not a good tither. You are a terrible tither. You hide, you basically stole from God. You stole his money. The blessings that he gave you did not give anything out return for it, and you were not grateful, and you did not give gratitude to God for that blessing. So what God does, he removes it. He removes it step by step. It starts with some mishap, and some mishap causes your money to go, and then from that mishap, it just increases it. It just increases it fourfold. It might start with a leaking roof, and from a leaking roof, it might go to a broken door, and to busted tires on the car, or maybe a busted engine or something. Whatever God decides. That's up to God. That is not for me to say how he does it, but he will do it. He will make sure that money is removed from you, because you are not grateful and you do not tithe on what you should do. This basically brings me to almost to the conclusion of my story, which is this, that Jacob here was classically shown how to imagine. And Jacob showed you, written it this particular way, that this is how he did his imagination. He climbed the ladder, 22 steps, as I said, 22 steps of the ladder, and he climbs it day by day. So every day you do your desire. Every night you go to bed, you desire. You have decided what you want. You already know it. You do not ask. Don't ever think, oh, I'm going to ask God, I'm going to ask church, I'm going to ask pastor. No, you're not going to do any of those things. You have decided what you want. Now you present it to God before you sleep. Before you sleep, you present it to God. Or if you're going to have an afternoon nap, you present it to God. you do sats, state akin to sleep, and you fall asleep doing an imaginative act, and you continue to do that every day. Do it for 22 days, and do it every day. And don't have a day off, not even on the Sabbath, because you're going to sleep at night on the Sabbath. So it's not going to be the Sabbath when you sleep. Saturday night, Sabbath is finished. Friday night, there's no Sabbath, by the way. Sabbath starts in the morning, sunrise. So therefore, you're going to sleep on it. You're going to sleep on your desire every night. Sleep on your desire every night. Whatever it is your desire, even if it's $1 million in the bank, you go tonight at bed, you see that you received the $1 million, and you see that you have a phone call from a friend. Maybe you're having in your imaginative act, maybe you're sitting in your living room talking to a friend, and the friend is congratulating you, and you're saying thank you to that friend. And you loop it over over and over and over again until you fall asleep in that desire. So when you loop it multiple times and you fall asleep in that desire, now you have cemented it in your imaginative act, in your subconscious. You cemented it. Now that desire will come forth. God will decide how that will happen, but what you have decided, God will give it to you. As simple as that. There is no asking and there's no begging. You just decide, you do the imaginative act, you do the state akin to sleep, or you fall asleep doing the imaginative act, and you will get that desire. Remember, you can also write it. You can script it. You can write that desire in the present tense. You can say that I have received $1 million, or I have manifested $1 million, or I am a self-manifested millionaire. And you do that, and you continue. You can write that, and you can speak it every day. You speak it every day. You speak it out in the air if you're alone. If you speak it out 10, 15 times if you're alone. If you're not alone, if you have people around you, you have it written on your copy, on your notepad. You can read it inside your mind. Read it, 10 times out loud in your mind. It doesn't have to come out into the air because you've got people around you. You can do it that way as well. That will still work. Do it every day. Be forthright. And remember, tithe is compliance. Be compliant to God, and God will return to you many folds of what you give. And He will make sure that you have abundance. He will make sure you have a home to live. He'll make sure you have food to eat. Make sure you have clothes to wear. This is the oath. Remember, it says that Jacob made an oath with God. So you need to stop and think, I need to make an oath with God, and this is what I'm going to do. Some of you already made that oath. Some of you have already made it, so you don't need to redo it. Those of you that have not made an oath with God, start today. Make an oath with God, and then God will reward you. God will know that you have an oath with Him. Then God will honor that oath, and you in turn will honor that oath and receive what's rightfully yours. So I thank you for listening. Have a great Shabbat, great wonderful day, and I pass it on to Rabbi Kefa. Todah, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom.
And let me start the recording. Yeah, so Shabbat Shalom, and again, Todah Rabbi HaKohen, and yeah, thank you for your understanding and your instruction and your guidance and your great interpretation of how our Torah is to be presented in 2021. It's very important that we understand this. Now, I just asked a question to the Mishpachah, and it looks like a lot of the family that's in the room now have been in synagogue. I know, how many of you have been in any kind of formalized religion? Put up a R if you've been in any kind of formalized religion as well. If you've been in any, Christianity, Catholicism, the Baptist system, Pentecostal system. Anybody been in that as well? So, yeah, and I mean that to for your responses. And I mean this as instructional as well to help us understand that there's an evolutionary process that occurs in each and every one of us as individuals. And there's many different journeys that we take, as you see in this Torah. Eddie says religion and never going back to that. So be it. And so it is written, so it is done. Baruch Hashem. So yeah, that's it's very, very important to understand that. And Eddie's in the defense of the religion that religion that you were in, chalk that up as great experience for you, because now you understand. Don't look at it as a negative, because now, Eddie's, you truly do understand that Just like I heard one of our rabbis say here, Rabbi Benia, he likes to say, you got to go through hell to appreciate heaven. And I know you get that. The wise will definitely understand that. So you have a high appreciation for where you are in the perfect law in the bosom of Abraham, then because you went through all of the bullshit that's out there. So you really appreciate it more. And this is why you made that statement. You're never going back to that. So you have to be in something and then get out of it to really appreciate not being in it anymore. And so I truly do understand the statement that you did make there, Eddie. That's a statement made based upon experience. And experience is a beautiful thing. A lot of folks get so hoodwinked and bamboozled with the fact, and they live in the past. And this is why I asked you all to your experiences in religion, and Judaism is right in there with the religion. Synagogues are nothing but religious institution as well, because what you see here in these, and just like I'm explaining here with what I hear in my conversations with people, is that their mind is still in the past, because all they do is talk about their past events. Oh, this happened in the past. Why did I have to? Their focus, their energy is still on the past. Oh, I was Rabbi. Why did I have to be in this religion for so long? And blah blah blah. They're still in the past. They're not in the now. They're still in the past. And the same way with these religions. If you note, these religions teach our holy history, our holy books, the history of the Hebrews from a past perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like they're teaching you things that happened in the past, and they don't bring it forward to the present, to the now. You know what I mean? So they teach it from a stale past perspective. And I can tell you this, and I wrote this down. The God Torah is nowhere in that, because and I wrote this down. I wrote it down like this. Where did I put that in? Let me see if I can find that real quick, because I think this is very important. It's important in this aspect, and I wrote it this way. Let the Torah talk and everyone else listen and learn. We see just the opposite for the most part. People talk Torah, yet the Torah is silent. How many of you get what I wrote down? How many of you are picking up what I put down? Is that we need to let the Torah speak. Let the Torah talk to us. And you're going to see this in this parsha. You're going to see this. Let the Torah talk, and let us listen and let us learn. Because just like Akoy said in this lecture, and it's so very true, is that Torah leaves a lot of clues. But very few people pick up on the clues that the Torah leaving. And also at the same time, as the Torah leaves clues, the Torah also hides things. It's kind of hidden. How many of you noticed that as well? Is that when you read a passage, we go through and we read our parshas yearly. We go through the year, yearly, annually we read these parshas. Yet you can read the same parsha, yet you get a different understanding, because Torah hides things. And then when you're ready to receive it, when you have the receptacles up to receive the new understanding, then it'll come to you. You'll be like, wow, how come I didn't pick up this perspective before? How come I missed this before? And it's always been right here in the black and the white, and yet I've missed it. And yet I've never understood the Torah the way when I read it this time that I can understand it. You see what I mean? You see, because again, if we allow the Torah to talk, we give room for the Torah to speak. We give room for the Torah to talk to us, and if we but be quiet, and we listen and we learn, then we'll have those receptacles up to be able to receive the layers that the Torah has available to us. Yet, again, and this is the title of my lecture. It requires us to get out. You see, to come out. And until we come out, we'll never experience the miracle of life. Until we come out, we'll never experience the magic of life. Like, Rabbi Kefa, what the hell are you talking about? But think about it for a minute. Until you come out of that preconceived. What do you mean when I say come out? You have to come out of a lot of things. You have to come out of what you've been taught. You have to come out of what mama said. You have to come out of the conditioning of the nations that you're in right now. and you've been dispersed. And you got to come out of a lot of things. But the most important thing that you got to come out of is you have to come out of you have to come out. You have to allow self to come out. You have to make room for self. And until you're able to do that, then you're going to continue just, you're going to continue you're going to just be scratching the surface, and you'll never get to the layers of the Torah. And what our the Kohen and the Gate is teaching us is to come out, is to actually come out. Brother David said it's like the understanding is unlimited from one level to the next, after that, and so on. Yes, you're right. And that has always been there. But the individual, you have to prepare yourself. The individual has to be prepared to receive and understand. This is why a lot of people don't hang around here. They find this perfect law boring. This perfect law is not sexy to them. You know what I mean? So they don't stay because it's not exciting. It don't give you the goosebumps. You know what I mean? So they don't stay. So they're going to go find a place to where they get the goosebumps and it's exciting for a minute. We see that wears off. You see that excitement will wear off. The goosebumps will go away. And then what are they left with? They're left with absolutely nothing. They're left with emptiness. But when you receive this Torah, when you come out and you allow self to come out, and you come out of all those all this other, come out of the religion, come out of Judaism, come out of Catholicism, then you afford yourself the ability to receive and to accept and to decide for self instead of trying to conform to. I mean, think about that for a minute. But again, just like Kohen was saying in his lectures, Nehemiah, and I know you understand this, you got folks that are talking Torah that's telling you, oh, Torah is saying to come out of her, come out of America because America is Babylon. How many of you heard that so-called teaching that's out there? And it's out there. But they totally missing it. And this is what I mean when I read to you the statement that I wrote down that, we got to let the Torah talk, right? We got to allow the Torah to talk. But we see just the opposite for the most part. People talk Torah and the Torah is silent. You see, you got people talking Torah. Oh, you got to come out of her. Who's that her? You got to come out of America. America's this evil bitch. And you got to come out of her because she wicked and she evil. And she going to take you straight to hell. And you're going to go to hell because you got and see, and this is what they teach. It's bullshit. And that's just what it is. It's just bullshit. To make you what? Conform. They're making you conform to, they're making you fit into something. And it's just like Brother David said, you need to, when you let self come out, you understand that you're unlimited. Your possibilities are unlimited. Nothing is impossible. Your possibilities are unlimited. Why? Because the Torah is unlimited. So there's no limitations on it. But yet people want to put you, religion and people for that matter, some of your friends, family members, and loved ones are trying to lasso you. I'm using that term because I'm down here in Texas. They're trying to lasso you into conforming to what they want you to believe. But I'm telling you just to believe what you desire. You see? Believe. Brother David says it sounds like Greek perspective. Oh, indeed. Greek perspective, Roman perspective, Latin perspective. We can go down the laundry list. You know what I mean? But when you come, and just like Yaakov, just like Jacob said, when you come to realize where God really resides, then it becomes awesome. What did Yaakov say? What did Jacob say in this parasha? He said, how awesome is this place? Baruch Hashem, what is this place? This place is your place, your house, you, the person. Self. When self can come out, oh my goodness. See, but you got to make room for self. So what does that mean you have to do if you have to make room? You're going to have to get rid of a lot of shit. Hey, stuff just going to have to go. You're going to have to let a lot. You see, a lot of people not willing to do that. Why? This is real talk, Miss Praha. Shabbat shalom to you, True Droid Ministries. This is all real talk because reality, they don't want to face reality. So they want to live in these fictitious worlds that they make up for themselves where they're comfortable. But just like Yaakov, you got to leave. You got to come out. Just like it says, we read it in the Parsha, Genesis chapter 28, verse 10. And Yaakov went out. You got to come out. You got to go out. You got to have the courage to go out and make these experiences. And to offer your responses earlier when I talked about, okay, well, what religion? Anybody connected to any kind of religion for any amount of time? A lot of you said, hell yeah, Rabbi, that's me. I'm there. I was in that. But then and again, I'm not knocking it, but I mean that, I say that in a good way that, yeah, you've had these experiences in Judaism. You've had these experiences in religion. Now you understand them for what they really are, right? But when you don't have these experiences, then you can't really say you understand. This is why it's so very important that you couple Torah student with a student of human nature because the two are intertwined. Torah is all about relationships. You can't have relationships in quarantine mode. Yeah, a lot of people want to stay in quarantine. When you think about it, I mean, all this pandemic, epidemic, all this shit. You know what all this has done? This has really exposed human nature. It really has. Because you know how, let me tell you how, in one layer of how it has exposed human nature. Because it has made you see that, grouping people or putting people in a group is not a good thing. You know what I mean? Staying in your house and quarantining yourself from the rest of the world is not a good thing. That's actually a bad thing. It actually weakens your immune system. Think about that for a minute. Your immune system becomes weaker when you isolate yourself from the rest of the world, from humanity. Wow. You ever thought about that? You're weakening your immune system. Why? It's because the immune system is not being exposed to these different things, so it can experience these different diseases and these different germs that are around, so it can build up an immune system and an immunity. You don't have to take a pill for that or a shot, Mishpah. That's the Creator's makeup and how He built us. This is why it's so very important that you do go out, that you do travel, that you do, mix. This is very good for your body because it helps you build up immunity. Your immune system becomes stronger that way. When you're exposed, you become stronger as individuals as you are exposed to different experiences, just like as your body is exposed to different germs. Because this is all happening internally, inside of you. Your body's actually building up immunities. And, your body's battling 24/7, whether you understand this or not, 365. It's battling, and it's coming up with antibodies to help you, and it's recognizing, oh, I remember this germ. Just like Eddie says, man, I remember that religion. I'm not going back, right, Eddie's? It remembers it and say, oh, I have something for that. We can deal with that. We already have immunity build up. Let's go attack that and take that out because that's foreign to us. We don't know that. You get it? I mean, when you understand the whole circle of life, and it's really beautiful because we all work in concert. From the Milky Ways to the galaxies to the black holes, we're all to the universes to this earth, which is in all of this. We all work in unison. And it's beautiful when you understand the whole process of the whole thing called life. Life don't just stop at the borders of the orbit of this planet Earth. Come on, man. You gotta stick with me here. It's bigger than all this. I'm really cooking up another lecture that's beautiful. And I got a question for you guys. It said right here in the Parsha, the Parsha mentions here, where is that verse at? Okay, yeah, Genesis chapter 28, verse 11. Let's read that. So he, meaning Yaakov, came to a certain place. That certain place, Baruch Hashem, we talked about that. Yaakov talked about it, and stayed there all night because the sun had set. I'm going to stop right there. Because the Torah says because the sun had set. Let's talk about the sun for a minute. Can anybody give me a description of the sun? What is the sun? I'm going to ask the question. What is the sun? Can anybody tell me what the sun is? Anybody? What is the sun? To you, what is the sun? What is the sun to you? What is it? Energy, Brother David says. That's a beautiful description. Energy. Light. Hadassah Grace says another. There's no wrong answer here. Light. Daylight. Baruch Hashem. Come from Lion Princess. Shabbat Shalom to you, Lion Princess, Lion King. Bertha Shaw. Shabbat Shalom. Fire and light. Baruch Hashem. Torah says hot. Caliente, as they say in Spanish. Caliente. Hot, hot, hot. Yeah. Hot. And I think, according to what I watched on one of my cartoons, it's moto moto. And some kind of, in somebody's African language, moto moto means hot, hot. Baruch Hashem. I think that's what they say according to which one of those movies I was watching. Something dealing with a lion, I know that. But anyway, like Nehemiah says, all the above. That's a good answer, Nehemiah. Life. Okay, now look, let me give you from the understanding that I'm learning and I keep learning from. Did you know that the sun is a star? I'm going to say that again. Did you know that the sun is a star? It's a star. How many of you knew that? The sun is a star. Wow, beautiful, isn't it? The sun is a star. And I'm cooking up a lecture on this. This is going to be a good one, too. I'm cooking up a lecture on this. The sun is actually a star. When you boil it all down, it's hot, it's light, it has all those characteristics. But you know what it is? It's a star, Mishpah. All those characteristics you guys named off and qualities and character traits, it's all that. But it's a star. When you boil it all down to it and you get to the grits and the greens, it's a star. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? I'm prepping you guys for a beautiful lecture coming up. It's cooking. We got it marinated. It's cooking. I got it on simmer, Brother Davis. Isn't that beautiful? Think about that for a minute. The sun is a star. Now you take that and you go into our holy books and begin to understand the references of stars. But yet, let me tell you, I'll give you some great advice that I've learned in my experiences with human nature. If everybody else is doing the things one way, do things the opposite way and you'll be successful. Think about that for a minute. Hey, Eddies, if everybody's doing things one way and they happy doing it and it's popular, do things the opposite way and you'll be totally successful. You'll be totally successful. Why do I say that? Because I say this. I say, Brother David says, I have my bowl ready. Yeah, I'm going for seconds and thirds, Brother Davis. But yeah, the reason why I say that is this, is that folks in religion will tell you that astrology, the study of stars, is demonic. It's of the devil. How many of you have heard that understanding out there? You know, so-called Torah. This is the Torah talk that's out there. Oh, man, you study astrology, you wicked, you of the devil, that's of the devil. No, it's not. Do the opposite, and you'll be successful. So, the study of the sun is wicked, and I'm going to go to hell for studying the sun. Are you freaking kidding me? This is what they tell you. Oh, you study astrology, and you going to hell, and this is of the devil, and blah, blah, blah. This is counter Yahweh. My goodness. We look at the sun for our Shabbat, don't we? Didn't I go and just mention that in this lecture? But yet, where's the rest of the world? They doing the polar opposite. They waiting for night to kick in to start their Shabbat. What does that tell you? Do you see what I mean? Listen, Mishpah, I hope you all. No, I don't hope. My desire is that you're getting what I'm putting down. You're picking up what I'm putting down. If it's popular, do just the opposite. Brother Davis, you're right. Abraham's father studied the stars. And when Abraham was born, they saw stars. They saw a particular star, didn't they? They knew something was up. Come on now, let's get with it. When Yeshua ben Joseph was born, the wise men did what? They saw a star and said, hey man, it's something special about this night. You see this star, there's something going on. Right, B. Shaw? Right, Bertha Shaw? Hope you don't mind me calling you B. Shaw. That just sounds sexy. B. Shaw. That's sexy, baby. I'm going to put the sexy in your name. But you see what I mean? B. Shaw is right. So did the wise man. The wise men. And it wasn't just 3 of them, Miss Bahar. It was actually 12. And they saw this. So our ancestors were looking at things. They were looking at the stars, right? You guys, we gotta cook. But that's cooking. That's cooking. I'm telling you. Y'all just add more sauce to it today. Y'all done put some more seasoning on it while it's simmering. Baruch Hashem. So even Yaakov here in Genesis 28:11. He was paying attention to the sun, wasn't he? Because you know where the sun went down, then it's time for me to shed it. It's time for me to start putting this in another mode, get into my meditation mode. You know what I mean? It's time for me to get inner. It's time for self to come out. But as we literally read here in our Torah, Torah speaks, and I'm going to listen. The Torah speaks, and I'm going to be quiet. So that I can understand, I can listen, I can learn something. Instead of this Torah talk that's out there by everybody else, I don't want to hear all that Torah talk. I want Torah to speak. You see, when the Torah talk is going on, guess what? The Torah becomes silent. Silence of the lambs, right? The Torah becomes silent. Learn from this, Mishpah. Learn from this. You see, these teachings that we get here from the Kohen, and I'm a student of the Kohen, these teachings that we get here from our Kohen in the gate, it's not popular. And that's supposed to be. That's by design. Baruch Hashem. Yael 110 says, I'm a sun and I am a star. Baruch Hashem. You all are stars. You all are marvelous stars. And you have the characteristics of stars as well. But I tell you, it's going to be a great lecture. It's going to be a great lecture. It's going to really open up the universes to us and really and help us begin to peel away the layers of our companionship with the whole world. The Torah says everybody's a star. Indeed, a Torah, but everybody don't see themselves as stars. Baruch Hashem. Bisha says, truth is not popular among those who can see. Boy, what a wise statement, Bisha. Continue to be wise and well. Who cannot see? Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What a wise statement, Bisha. Continue to be wise and well. Continuously. Wisdom, the so-called wisdom of men, is not the wisdom of the Most High. The wisdom of men is lacking. See, when the wisdom of men begins to speak, Torah becomes silent once again. And Yah forbid, if it's any of our desires to want to silence the Torah's talk. I don't want to silence the Torah talk. I want the Torah to talk. And I want to get underneath the Torah and not overstand the Torah. Right, Nehemiah? I tell you, you hear that so much in these freaking groups out there. Oh, we need to overstand. We need to overstand, Mishpah. We got to overstand. No. I'm not trying to overstand nothing. I'm trying to get underneath this Torah and humble myself in all humility. Get under this Torah, under that tree, under that Torah, the tree of life, so that I can understand, so that I can be wise. Not the wisdom of men, but the wisdom of this Torah. I can be a student of that. That's where I'm at. I can give two hoots about overstanding. So when the phone calls come in and they, oh, Rabbi, I'm overstanding. I said, no, you're not. You're understanding. I correct them real quick. No, you need to understand. Get humble. Don't get haughty. I did a lecture on this a while back. Haughty and humbleness is two sides of the spectrum. Don't get haughty. You need to get humble and fall up underneath this Torah. Bow down to the Torah. Become a servant to this Torah. Take on the yoke of this Torah upon you. Because this yoke is easy and this burden is truly light. But when you just try to be a Torah talker, you'll find out that the burden is real heavy. It's heavy upon these folks. And why? It's because they have no understanding, because they're too busy trying to overstand. And they don't get underneath. So Yaakov, back to where we at with the coming out. We all came out of something. Look, this coming out is a universal thing that happens. All of you in this room have experienced this at some level. Why? Because when a baby is birthed, they come out of their mother's womb. Don't they come out? Last time I checked, they come out, right? I got to see that firsthand. And believe me, that was a miracle to see my son, Nakshan, come out of my wife's womb. Beautiful. All of you have done it. all of you are witnesses and watchers to this very statement that I just made. It's beautiful to see you come out. And you always coming out. Unless you get comfortable. And you say, I don't want to come out. I don't want to come out of my religion. I don't want to come out of my conditioning. I don't want to come out of being a Republican. I don't want to come out of being a Democrat. You see, we got to come out of all these things they're trying to confine you in. You got to come out of that. And then when you come out of all of that and you get rid of all that baggage, well, you say, well, Rabbi, how do I know if I'm like that, or how do I know as a student of human nature if somebody's still connected? You'll know, just sit and observe them and watch what they say and how they speak. You just got to sit back and you got to listen. You see? The Torah says you have to come out in order to grow. Oh, that's very important. A Torah. What a wise statement. Well said. You have to come out in order to grow. But yet a lot of people not growing. They stagnated. And they actually dying. They're reversing the process. You don't want to reverse the process. The perfect law and all its functionality has been functioning before and after us. And it's going to continue to do that. And we all are just like what Brother David said. We all are just energies. We don't die. We just change form, and we energies, and we all collectively play a part. And just like all of you beginning to understand, you all stars, and you all play a part. Even after your light is gone out, you still have a mission. You still play a part in the energy of life. Baruch Hashem. B. Shaw says, some are like Israel. Their desire was to return to Egypt. Yes, they have that mindset. Why? Because they're comfortable where they're at. They're in that comfort zone. I would encourage you this day, just like Yaakov, go out. He went out. You continue to go out. Never lose that mentality, that womantality of being a sojourner and journeying. Never be comfortable with just one affirmation or one desire. Yeah, you get one and you fulfill it. Then you continue on to the next one. Just like the birthing process. You know, that baby is born and you see that baby come out of your wife's womb, the mother's womb, and you sit there and you say, this is a miracle of life. How many of you see the birthing of a child as a miracle? This is truly a miracle. So when you come out, your desire should be for miracle. Ask you, what miracle am I going to do today as I come out? It's a miracle. True Joy Ministries. It is a miracle. And we see all these little miracles running around and walking around, and then those miracles become men and women, and they still miracles because they have that same ability to make more miracles, to come out, to reproduce as well. Do you see it? It's the circle of life. It really is beautiful, and it flows like a currency. It's energy, and it flows. It may not flow in a circle. I see it flowing like that infinity symbol, more like that. Like that. Shh. Imagine or write that infinity symbol, because that's the whole thing. Always and forever. Baruch Hashem made a beautiful song about that too. You want the world to know, right? That's a beautiful song. Who sang that song, by the way? Wasn't that a group? Female group, right? I'm coming out. Oh, no. It was, who was it? It was a one female chick sang that song. She just had a group behind her. Well, who sang that song, I'm coming out? Yeah, me too. The Supreme. It was the Supreme, right? Atara, you up on the groups. I can always, you my go-to for the group. And I need a group name. You the go-to, Atara. Diana Ross. There you go, Nehemiah. And she had a group with her too, right there. What were they called? The Supremes, right? I think they were called the Supremes. Yeah. So this is very important for us to understand. Very, very important for us to understand. When we see that infinity symbol and you just see it. Currency. Energy. You see, but you got to come out, and you got to come out a lot of things to really see yourself as energy, to really see yourself as a star. Like, what the hell? I'm not no star, Rabbi. Well, then you're not going to be no star. To your hell, you will never be a star. Because you don't believe. You got to believe. And you got to see it. And it's got to be real to you. When you see the bigger picture and you come outside and you come out of this earth and you begin to see that the universes, like Brother David said, are limitless. Can we ever get to an end of the universe, of the universes, of the Milky Way? You can't. It just keeps going. What does that tell you, Mishpah? We just keep going. It's a beautiful cycle. It's endless, right, Atara? Good word. It's just endless. There is no end to your capabilities and possibilities in this life that you're in right now. But we limit ourselves. And limiting factors have been put up in our lives that we have to come out of. You see? You got to come out. Did you get what are you getting what I'm, are you picking up what I'm putting down, Mishpah? I'm telling you, this is beautiful, beautiful stuff here, man. When you begin to understand it, and it gives you a whole new perspective on your everyday. It gives you a whole new presentation on your everyday, because you realize how much control and power and dominion that you really do have. When we were promised and we were told that we've been given dominion over this earth, why do you think some of the angels had a problem with giving this to humans? Are you with me, Brother Davis? Why do you think they had it? They're like, man, how you going to give all this to them? You know what I mean? They don't even know what to do with it. When they begin to understand what power that they do have, and Yaakov is a prime example. Because he was like, man, this is how awesome is this place? Whoa! And you know, the Torah talkers, you know what they're going to tell you? Hey, we need to go find this place. Let's sell everything that we have, and let's go find this awesome place that Jacob is talking about. Let's go find it. And do you know a lot of Americans from America, these blacks and the browns, that they sold all that they had, they burned their passports to America, and they went to find this so-called place. And now they can't come back because they realize it's not in a place. And they over there in Jerusalem, and they over there in Israel, and they down there in Dimona, living like fourth-class citizens. And now they realize that this is not the place. This is not this awesome place when we over here living in ghettos. And they got us shacked up in these little apartment buildings. Scrawny apartment buildings. And they realize the blessings of that this so-called Babylon, America, offered to them, and they want to come back and they can't. Because they were searching, looking for love in all the wrong places. And it's not in a place. It was actually already inside them. But they never got there because of all the Torah talk that's out there. That they missed it. They totally went through and they put all their trust and they believed in these Torah talkers and not what the Torah is trying to teach us and what the Torah is really telling us. You see? Baruch Hashem. Nehemiah said, so sad. I was just watching that video the other day. I'm telling you, me and Hakohi, we seen it firsthand. And we went down there, we had to feed them. It's supposed to be, we in the Holy Land. The land flowing with milk and honey. And we down there feeding them. They should have been laying out 7-course meals for us, but we down there feeding them because they can't make $1 out of 15 cents. No shekels. They had no shekels. And we come with them American dollars. Them quote-unquote Babylonian dollars was feeding them, and believe me, they was eating off of our American Babylon dollars, quote-unquote. America's a great shepherd nation, but Torah talkers will tell you America is the devil. You see? Brother David says looking external and not internal. Indeed. So they missed it. And it all goes back onto that statement that's made. Who do you listen to? And they listening to the wrong. They're not listening to the Torah. And the Torah tells us that we got to listen to the Kohanim. They'll give us the instruction. So a lot of this is all about folks that are being taught the Torah from the past. And not 2021. I saw the ruins of our temple. I saw them. The temple's in ruins. And the fields are definitely plowed over. Green, luscious grass, just quiet as can be. You can feel the wind blow through you. At the time I had dreadlocks. You could feel the wind blow through my dreadlocks. It was beautiful. Quiet, peaceful. Not all this commercialism and they so-called Jerusalem that they have up in the north that they proclaim it as Jerusalem and the temple site. That's just a Roman garrison wall that's still up, you see. Always and forever. Oh my God, you cut your hair. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So it was, and that's what we look at. And you look at it and you say, man, these are people who are just like, have been lost in a way. That's truly, not, how I want to phrase this. That's truly not what life is all about, for us to be lost. Life is for all humans to find their life. But you're not going to find your life until you begin to internalize it and say, okay, life needs to come out of me. So whatever life you're going to have, it's going to come out of you. But many folks are searching for life outside of them. So they're not willing to take these journeys and these experiences to really begin to see what life is really about. They need to internalize, just like you guys are saying. You need to internalize and not externalize it. It needs to come from within. That's where life truly comes from. And you see it in everything. From people, plants, and pets. From the seedlings that turn into big old trees and the little seedlings that turn into vegetables and fruits, to a woman, that seed that is come from the sperm of a man that goes into a woman, and then a baby is born from that. The miracle of a baby, the miracle of produce, you see, that comes from just a seed. And you can begin to multiply and produce fruits and vegetables that are edible and that help sustain you, you see. These things are so very important to understand. We, as students of human nature, we have to help, because we're told in these promises that Yaakov was given. And I'm going to read them because this is very important to understand. Genesis chapter 28, verse 14. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. As the dust of the earth. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And in you, meaning Yaakov or Jacob, and in your seed, listen to what this says here in the Torah. Let the Torah talk. I'm going to let the Torah talk. All the mishpachah, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Hold up, wait a minute. Torah just said Jacob's seed is going to be a blessing to all the families of the earth. That's what the Torah says. But you go on YouTube, these so-called proclaimers to be in a Jacob's seed, do they say, oh, we here to bless the earth? No, they're talking about they cursing the earth down, condemning the nations, condemning all the people. See, these are not the real signs of Israel. This is Torah talking here. Listen, I'm going to listen to what the Torah says. Torah's giving us a clue right here. And a lot of people are missing it because they're still in these foolish camps. These idiosos. That so-called Torah teachers, they're not teaching you the Torah. They're teaching you bullshit. That's what they're teaching you. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Listen to what the Torah just said. Jacob's families are going to be a blessing to all the families of the earth. So who are Jacob's families today? Those Jews out here who are being a blessing, who are contributing to these shepherd nations and who are not protesting, who are not putting down their nations, who are not burning their passports and going to another country because they say this country is evil and wicked. No, that's not a sign of real Israel, according to what the Torah just said. We need to listen, don't we? We need to let the Torah talk and everyone else just listen and learn and just be quiet. But folks don't want to do that. Torah is always going to drop you little hints and little clues. These little golden nuggets, I call them. Little hints, little clues. To point us in the right direction of where we should go and where we need to go. And who are the true, the seed, the true descendants of Jacob. I love the way the Torah puts that. It's so beautiful. Your descendants. And you and in your seed. See, they use the word seed there too. The Torah uses the word your seed. From that little seed comes a miracle. Yeshua ben Yosef talked about it as well. He said if you just had the belief, you had the feeling of a mustard seed, you could move mountains. I'm paraphrasing. But do you have the ability? See, there's nothing. It's endless, man. But people can't see that. Why? It's because they haven't come out yet. And they haven't come out in two aspects. Remember, there's two sides that are coming out. You gotta allow self to come out, but then at the same time, you gotta come out of a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. You gotta come out of a lot of just nastiness. You gotta come out of a lot of just nastiness. Just stank. You gotta come out of stank. So when you allow self to come out, self has room to flourish. Self starts as a seed, but then eventually self is going to grow into this big old humongous tree like you see at Yellowstone Park. Big old humongous giant tree. Self is going to come out as that star, and it's going to shine. Stars are so beautiful, right? At night. How many of you have a habit of going out and looking at stars at night? I would encourage you to do that. And I tell you, ever since my father passed, it's really been I've been having this urge and this energy pulling me every night to go out with my son, Sean, who's 2 years old now, and we look at the stars. And we always find the moon. We find the moon. I ask Sean, where's the moon? In Mandarin, and I ask him in English, and he'll find it. you'll point to the moon, and we sit there and we look at stars. I would encourage you to make that a habit. Those stars will energize you. They will energize you. You think only the sun? Remember, what do we say about the sun? The sun is a star too, right? Whoa. They will energize you. And it's just beautiful to watch. Because you got the same characteristics of a star. Oh, we're going to get in there. That's a lecture for another day, Miss Bob. Lecture for another day. But it is beautiful. And I would encourage you all to go out at night and examine and look at the stars. Become student of the stars. They're beautiful. We're all connected. You got to understand that there's such, and I know you all do in this room, the world is bigger than what this world just is. It's bigger than that. It's bigger and it's beautiful. And when you understand where you fit into all this, and as a student of human nature, I see for the most part, a lot of folks are just trying to see where they fit and not realizing and not having someone help them by asking them the question, well, where do you want to fit in? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? See, they just hopping from little group to group to group to group, trying to fit in, understand they don't fit in there. So they move on. Brothers, David says, come out of that womb and into the light, Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. So, this is where we are. And so we see and you see this with Yaakov. Right after all of this all these things going on, and Yaakov understands, man, how awesome is this place? He's on his journey. We're told in the holy books that he continues on his journey, right? He continues on. You don't say, okay, well, no, I'm happy here. Look at chapter 29 of Genesis, verse 1. So Yaakov went on his journey. Wow. Torah telling us right there. See, I let the Torah talk. I just listen and learn from it. I let the Torah talk. So Yaakov continues on his journey. Now, you men in the room, the first desire that any man should want is a woman. For you women in the room, all respect to you. Because that's just within the confines of it. And you see it right here. Yaakov went right from imagining things and understanding the God power within and the energy within him, that how awesome he is, and how strong he was. As you can see, he was a strong man. Jacob was no Steve Urkel, Mishpahah. He was more like a rock. He was more like the rock. Because he moved the rock. Right? Because what's his real name? Dwayne Wilson. What's his real name? Dwayne something. But he is like, it's Dwayne Johnson. You have to talk for that. So, I mean, come on now. But the first thing he went into was what? What did he want? Torah is silent on that part, but we can see through actions. Right, Brother Davis? We sit back and we watch actions. You don't have to say anything. Jacob wanted a woman, right? Men in the room and women. You see it right here. He wanted a woman, man, first thing. He come out. Look, he wanted a woman. And that's where Rachel come in on the scene. Right, Bishaw? He wanted a woman. And did he get a woman? He got what he wanted. Now, how he got that woman? Don't worry about the how. The how is not important. But do you see, Jacob had to go through some things to get the woman. And just like the ladder is explained, and Jacob sees in his dream that in the ladder there's people going up and down. What is that symbolic of? There's going to be ups and downs in life. Sometimes you're going to be high, sometimes you're going to be low. Don't worry about the how. He ended up with that woman and another woman. So he got what he wanted and some. Remember I told you about that multiplier effect? That's real. Multiplier effect is real, Mishpah. It's real. Multiplier effect. Think about it for a minute. But again, remember I told you as well that Torah is all about relations. Human relations with other people. Your relatives, family members, friends, and loved ones. That's how it goes down. That's how it goes down. And so you begin to see what the power, that awesome power that Jacob had, that Jacob understood, he used it for his benefit. He gained not only wives, but he gained, a lot of wealth. Let's put another W in on that. He gained a lot of wealth while he was working for the man. Wow, go figure. The man just so happened to be a relative, his brother, his mama's brother. But think about it for a minute. He gained wife, wealth while he was working for the man. Do you see that formula? And again, just like in human relations, what happens in all that positivity? It's got to be some negativity in there. The haterade comes out, right? From the man. Laban began to hate on him. Why? He was envious of him. He saw him as a threat. Israel, I'm giving you a heads up. People are going to see you as a threat. I don't care how humble you are. People are going to be threatened by your increase. They can't stand that. Because they want it and they can't acquire it. They don't understand how to acquire it, so they're going to begin to hate on you. That's when the haterade come out. And so you begin to see the relationship that occurs from the relationship to man to woman, the relationship from, boss to employee, relationship from father-in-law to son-in-law, different relationships. And Torah explains all this and shows us this. But then it teaches us, and we can learn from this, and we can learn from Jacob's experience on how we deal with it. That's how you need to concern you. How are you going to deal with it? Not how is it going to come about? Because believe me, if Jacob knew how it was going to come about before it came about, he'd have been like, oh, hell, I'm staying single. If it's going to take me this long to get Rachel, I'm going to stay single, man. Shit, I ain't going to bother with all that. You know what I mean? He'd be like, man, hell no. To get a woman? I got it. No, man, no. But again, that's why the how is irrelevant. Because you get so focused on the how that it'll dilute your belief. How is overpowering. And it'll take away, it'll suck all the energy out of belief because you focus, well, how the hell is that going to happen? How the hell am I going to be able to do that? I can't even make $1 out of 15 cents and I'm a millionaire? How the hell that going to happen? And you're so focused on the how that you dilute the miracle of belief and the feeling of belief, and the miracle will never come. Miracle never happens. Because you've been hoodwinked and bamboozled by the belief, by disbelief, because you're on the how factor. So be mindful of that. Let's learn from our Torah. Our Torah teaches us many different things on many different levels, but most folks can't see it to begin to believe it because they haven't come out yet. They haven't allowed self to come out. Because their focus and their energy is on being able to fit in to all these different other things that's out there. And like I stated earlier, looking for love in all the wrong places. Establish relationships the wrong way. See, because they want to establish outward relationships, but they forgot the very important factor of the number one relationship that you need to have is that relationship with yourself. If you don't love yourself, you'll never love anybody else or even understand love for that matter. The levels of love. Our Torah says, how equals 0 indeed. How is irrelevant. You just got to continue to put all your energy and your belief, how you feel. You feel you're a millionaire, be a millionaire. Be a millionaire. Be it. Feel it, be it. Do millionaire. Don't let people tell you can't. You feel you married, be married, do marry. Do marriage, be marriage. Be married. You are married. Relationships. Your relationship with money, your relationship with people. It's all about relationships and how you establish relationship. You see, because you got to be able to attract. And just like stars, this is why stars are so beautiful. You know, I love stars. How many of you love stars? I'm telling you. Let me tell you this, and you all know this. If you watch any kind of movies or if you're any kind of navigator, you'll understand when people navigate at night in ancient times, you know, they didn't have Google Maps. What would they use to find direction? Ooh, that's beautiful, isn't it? What would they use to find direction and find their way? If you don't believe me, just go watch Moana. That's one of my favorite cars. Go watch you some Moana. Right, Oliver, Vive la France. Go watch you some Moana. They're navigators of the seas. They will use the stars for what? Direction. You're a star. People should be coming to you for what? Direction. Ooh-wee! That's deep, isn't it? But that's true. That's heavy, man. And this is a sign of real Israel today. They're gonna come to you for some direction, some guidance. Hey, can you give me some instruction? I mean, you're so happy and joyous. How do I give me some instruction on how you do that? Ooh, that's beautiful, isn't it? It's real. It's real, Israel. It's real. I can give two hoots about what people say. Look at the actions of a person. Students of human nature, and that'll take you far. So we got to come out. We got to come out. Yaakov went out in Genesis 28:10. He went out, and guess who came out? That awesome place that we all have. I like the way, how awesome is this place? Doesn't get any better than that. How many of you don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, I'm handsome. How awesome is this body of mine? It's awesome. I'm in perfect health in my mind and in my body continuously. I'm awesome. Corona can't touch me unless I want to drink a Corona beer. You know what I'm saying? Then no, Corona can't touch me, but I'm touching Coronas. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how I go down, Brother David. You know, hey, Corona can't touch me, but I'm touching Coronas. Rubichan, or whatever your favorite beverage is. Red Kool-Aid, whatever it is, don't matter. We unstoppable. We unlimited. I'm unlimited. I am. I don't know about you. I don't know what you affirm and what you believe and what you feel, because it's all in your feeling. That's what life ain't about. A freaking religion. Man, get out of that mumbo jumbo. Religion is a cop-out. Religion is for those who are weak-minded. You better get connected within yourself and know what you desire for yourself and what you want out of this wonderful life that you're going through right now. The greatest gift that's been given to you is the gift of life. When you came out of the womb, what are you going to do with it? You going to fly or you going to crash and burn? That's up to you. What do you want? Many folks will tell you, I want to crash and burn. And I say, so be it. So it is written, so it is done. I only want to give you what you want. I'm only going to give you what you want. I'm not going to crush you. And this is not a dictatorship where, you know, the perfect law has nothing to do with forcing you to do anything that you don't want. Many folks don't know what they want. And that's the biggest question that needs to be asked to all of humanity. When you come in contact with somebody these 6 days of labor, ask them, hey, what do you want in this season of giving? in this season of joy, in the season of lights. What do you want? You want to be a star and shine? What do you want? What do you want out of this life? What do you want? But that has been overshadowed by these proclivities, bills and car notes and angry wife and angry husband, all of these things that are irrelevant and take your energy away and zap your energy to where you don't have energy for self. You have nothing to recharge self with. This is why I told you, every night go out and just examine the stars and see that there's a bigger picture. This whole grand scheme of life is bigger than just Earth, by the way. We all interconnected. Interconnected. When you can begin to understand that, you'll become more powerful. But if you limit yourself to the magnetic forces just on this earth, you're limiting yourself. You've been given dominion over this earth, but Earth is what? The third planet from the sun? Earth is. So there's a lot of other planets and out there that all work in unison. Milky Ways and galaxies and all these beautiful things out there. And we're all connected. We're all energies. What are you doing with your energy? What are you doing with it? You harnessing it for what? For your wants and your desires? Or is all your energies out for other things outside of self, outside of you? Focus on yourself first. You'll make the world around you such a better place when you begin to love yourself. Truly love yourself. In an innocent way. You just love yourself. I love who I am, and and you could say just like Yaakov, like Jacob said, how awesome is this place? How awesome is this place? And you give thanks for the Creator giving you this body and all that comes along with it. The abilities to fight off disease is already built into you. You don't have to go get a shot. You don't have to take a pill. You can go pull from Mother Earth and cure yourself. Everything is put here for you to be successful in every aspect of your life, in every relationship of your life, because life is just all about relationship when you begin to understand it. Torah teaches us that on many different levels. Life is all about relationship with people, plants, and pets. It's all about relationship. How you take care of your sheep. Hey, if you want to be successful with sheep, you got to take care of the sheep that you do have. If you want more sheep, right? Same way with goats and camels. If you want more, you got to take care of what you have, so that you can increase in that area. That's a relationship with animals. You can't hate your cows and think you're gonna get more cows, and you're beating up on your cows and you're mistreating your cows. You're not feeding them right. You think you're gonna beget more cows from that? No. Your cows are going to be like, man, I'm not going to produce anything for this dude. He don't even respect me. You want milk today? You better go get it from the goats, bro, because you're not getting it from me. You disrespect me. You don't treat me right. You don't feed me right. So I'm not going to produce. You get it? And that's just on animal level. Let's go to human level. Same thing. If you disrespect a person, you think that person going to want to assist you in a certain area and help you out? When you just called them and just outside of the name and you disrespected them, man, come on, man. Karma has a way of coming back on you. Think about these things for a minute. Because whether you believe in it or not, this is perfect law. The law of the universes that our Creator put in place. And whether you believe it or not, it's irrelevant because it is real. And it does happen. I don't care how you feel about it. That's just what it is. Mother Earth, nature has a way, Father Time, all of that, they all play a key role in all of this. The flow of energy and the currency of energy. What side you want to be on, the positive or negative side? That's what you have to decide for yourself. If you're in here, it's not by coincidence that you just popped up in this room. It's because that you truly desire to have a life, and you really want life explained to you in such a way to where it's understandable. It's not all confusing. And that means you got to start looking within yourself. It's that simple. But you see, people don't want simple. They want complex. You know why they want complex? So that they can reject it and say that it's too hard. So they want it complex so they can negate it. Say, there's no way I can do that. But when it's simple, they're like, you mean all I have to do is that? That can't be right. That's too easy. Because they're being run by emotion and logic. Not emotion. They're being run by mind and logic and not the inner self. I say, wow, that resonates with my ruach, with my spirit. I like that. There's no harm in me looking at myself and examining myself and bettering myself. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to go chase after nothing. All I have to do is look within myself. Establish a relationship. Find out what myself loves. Go treat myself. Take myself out on a date. You see? Go splurge on myself. Be good to myself. Love myself. Be happy with myself. We're too busy trying to be happy for other people, and we limit ourselves. And self gets put on the back burner, put in the closet. But when you find self, you'll say, just like Yaakov, how awesome is this place? Because it's a beautiful place on the inside. Because that's where Creator is. That's where God is. That's where powers is. That's where energy is. It all starts there. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up because I've been going for a minute. I'm going to wrap it up for a couple of minutes. I'm going to wrap it up for the Shabbat. But, the title of my lecture was to come out. And just like the Torah says, Torah speaks it, Genesis 28:10. Yaakov went out. So we have to come out. We have to allow self to come out, and we have to come out of a lot of other things to make room for self. Because self has been, let's just say, ignored, put on the back burner. Self has always been there, but self has been forgotten. And, the world that we live in is so fast-paced that you got to slow it down. You have to slow it down because, listen, the world is not going to stop. It's not going to stop. But you have to slow it down to a level that meets your expectation and the way you're comfortable at. You got to slow it down and take time for yourself. Because Father Time is not going to stop ticking. You got to take control of Father Time and say, Father Time, you can kick rocks. I'm living in the now. Tomorrow I'm living in the now. Now I'm in the now. I'm always in the. Yesterday I was in the now. Today I'm in the now. And tomorrow I'm going to be in the now. I'm not going to be controlled and hoodwinked and bamboozled by time. Because time, one of the major ways I can tell that somebody is being hoodwinked and bamboozled by Father Time is the first thing they tell me, oh, Rabbi, I'm too old. Oh, then you're connected with Father Time. Father Time, you and Father Time have a great relationship. You know what I mean? That's a cop-out. Age is nothing but a freaking number, man. And I'm a man of numbers. I love numbers. And I've taken numbers and I've used them to benefit me, to increase me, not to decrease me. You see what I'm saying? And it's that simple. As students of human nature. If you're a student of this Torah, then you're a student of human nature. That's just what it is. So let's keep it moving forward, Mishpahah. All you lights to the world out there, listening on Facebook, or you may be listening on YouTube. Let's continue to be a light to the world. Not negators, but be a light. So on that note, we'll wrap it up for this Shabbat. I'll say Shabbat Shalom to all of you, and Shalom Shalom to you. Have a great 6 days of labor ahead. More importantly, enjoy your Shabbat, time of rest, time to be with your families, do with your families, make memories with your families. This is what it's all about. And this is why we're here, Mishpahah, to continue to grow and learn and love ourselves, to be happy with ourselves, be at peace with ourselves. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So this is what's very, very important for us to understand as we move forward. And I know it's not going to be many of us that really get this, but those that do, go out and utilize this, not only for your benefit, but to just like the Torah told us, to be a blessing to all peoples. All peoples, Bishal. All peoples. Not just the ones you love, but the ones that don't love you. Be a blessing to them. Be a blessing to them. That's what's important. Brother David says, I put my bowl in the microwave for later on. All right, Brother Davis. So Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Shalom to all of you. I'm going to get over here and change some diapers and enjoy my family over here and make great memories. Baruch Hashem. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom. Have a wonderful Shabbat, Mishpachah. Oh, Fat Kid Loves Cake. You're new to the room, and hey, you're welcome here anytime. We open up the room we start 9 o'clock Central Time here in Texas, but the room is open at 8:30. You're more than welcome to come back and listen in. If you love life, then this is the place for you. You want to have a wonderful life, this is the place for you. You want to learn how to live exceedingly abundant life, then this is the place for you. You're more than welcome to come back. And this room is open to all. We don't discriminate against anybody. It's what it is. We're a blessing to all nations, Baruch Hashem, and all peoples, by the way. So Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom to all of you, Mishpah. Have a wonderful Shabbat.